The accident and the stranger. Sometimes the only thing stronger than fear is survival. Dark clouds covered the alien sky. Lightning cracked in the distance. The air smelled like smoke and metal. Something terrible had happened here. She ran. Her name was Viola. She was not human. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes glowing silver. She wore a dark uniform torn from battle. Blood, dark purple, ran down her leg. She was injured. She could barely breathe. Behind her, voices echoed through the mountains. They were coming. Soldiers, hunters, her own people, but they wanted her dead. She stumbled down a hill and fell hard. Rocks cut her arm. She didn't cry. She was trained to stay silent. But now, she was tired. She was dying. Then, she saw it. A strange shape between the trees, half buried in the ground. A human escape pod. For a second, she felt something strange. Hope. She crawled forward, her hand shaking. She touched the metal door. Warm, recently used. Inside the pod, the human woke up. His name was Jack, a young engineer from Earth. He had crashed a day ago. No rescue signal worked. Food was running out. He thought he was the only living thing here, until he heard the knocking. Jack opened the pod door and froze. A blue-skinned alien woman was on the ground, breathing fast, bleeding badly. Their eyes met. Neither spoke. Then, she passed out. Jack didn't know what to do. This was the first time he saw an alien this close. Her body was shaking. Her chest moved slower and slower. She was dying. He pulled her inside. He tried a translator chip. Nothing. But he didn't need words to understand. She was injured. Very badly. Her blood was too different. His medical scanner couldn't help. And then, the scanner showed something strange. Her blood cells were dying. But human blood was similar. Close. Almost a match. Jack hesitated. This is crazy, he said to himself. But if I don't try, she'll die. He connected a tube from his arm to hers. He pressed a button. Blood flowed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her breathing changed. Her chest rose. Her body stopped shaking. Jack smiled a little. Okay, I think it's working. Hours passed. It was quiet again. Then her eyes opened. Silver eyes, glowing in the dark. She sat up fast, alert, afraid. Jack raised his hands. It's okay, I'm not your enemy. She looked down at her arm. The blood tube was still there. Human blood was inside her. She stared at Jack. You gave me your blood? She asked. The translator was working now. Jack nodded. Yeah, you were dying. You are human? Yes. You're not supposed to be here. Well, neither are you. She touched her chest. Her heartbeat was stronger than before. Her wound had closed. Too fast. This is not possible, she whispered. Human blood should not heal me. It should kill me. Well, Jack said, you're welcome. She didn't smile. She looked afraid. Something felt wrong. Inside her body. Something was changing. Jack gave her water. They sat in silence. She stared at him like he was a puzzle. Finally, she spoke. My name is Viola. I was a commander, a soldier, but I disobeyed orders. They sent hunters to kill me. Why? I tried to stop a war. I failed. Jack looked at her with sad eyes. We're both stuck here. Maybe we can help each other. Viola didn't reply. She was listening to something inside her, a sound, like a heartbeat, but not hers. It was soft, faint, deep inside her body. Her face went pale. She stood up quickly. What did you do to me? Jack stood too. I saved your life. No, something is wrong. I can hear it, feel it. Jack was confused. Feel what? She looked him in the eyes. There's something growing inside me. Outside, the wind howled again. Shadows moved in the forest. But inside the pod, a new life had begun, and neither of them knew what it meant. Yet. The truth about human blood. Healing is never free. Sometimes it brings something unexpected. Silence filled the pod. Viola sat on the cold metal floor, eyes wide, hand pressed against her stomach. Her breath came fast. Something was wrong. Or something had changed. Jack watched her carefully. What do you mean? Something is growing. She looked at him. Her silver eyes were sharp now, afraid, confused, and angry all at once. You gave me your blood, she said slowly. That was not just kindness. It was dangerous. Very dangerous. Jack raised his hands. You were dying. What was I supposed to do? Watch? She shook her head. Our species are not compatible. In the past there were experiments and failed ones. Mixing blood caused death, but yours, it healed me. Too well. Jack's voice dropped. That doesn't sound like a bad thing. Viola stood up. It is. My body has changed. My cells are not just healed. They are rewriting themselves. I can feel it. And something else. Inside me. A second heartbeat. Jack blinked. That's not possible. I mean, are you saying you're pregnant? Vela turned away. My species does not become pregnant. We are engineered, grown in chambers, designed by science. This should not be possible. Jack sat down, trying to understand. The idea of her carrying a child, half human, half alien, was too big, too strange. But the fear in her eyes was real. What if it's not a child? He asked. What if it's something else? Vela looked down. Then we're both in danger. That night, neither of them slept. Vela sat near the pod's window, staring out into the misty jungle. The darkness outside seemed to move, like it was watching her. Her body felt alive in a new way. Stronger, sharper. She could hear distant animal cries, the hum of plants breathing, even Jack's heartbeat. Was it the baby? Or her? Suddenly, a loud ping echoed from the pod's computer. Jack rushed over. What is it? The screen showed strange readings. Her DNA was changing again. Her body temperature was higher. Her strength was increasing. And her brainwaves were glowing. Viola stepped back. I am becoming something else. Jack looked at her. Do you want to remove it? She froze. You mean the child? He nodded. She looked down, then whispered, No, it's part of me now. In the morning, they left the pod. It was no longer safe. Strange lights had appeared in the sky. Patrols were flying above the forest. Her people were looking for her. And now, maybe for the baby too. They walked through thick vines, over roots as big as walls. The forest felt alive, more alive than it should. Viola could sense everything. Danger, fear, the pulse of the planet itself. Jack asked her, Why would your people want to kill you just for running away? She didn't answer at first. Then, she said, Because I knew the truth. The war was not real. It was created by our leaders, to test new weapons. Human blood was one of those weapons. Jack froze. What? They had samples of your kind. For years, they studied you. But something was missing. They needed a live subject, a hybrid. That's why they will come. Jack felt a chill. You think they'll come for the baby? Viola nodded. Yes, to study it, or to destroy it. They found shelter in a deep cave near a waterfall. Inside it was warm, glowing with small blue crystals, safe for now. Jack built a small fire. He tried to joke. So, what does a half-human alien baby eat? Viola didn't smile. If it survives, it might not need to eat. Jack looked at her. You're serious. Vela looked down at her stomach. Her hand trembled slightly. I can feel it thinking. Jack whispered, That's impossible. She shook her head. It's dreaming. And showing me things. What things? Vela stared into the fire. A world in flames. Ships falling from the sky. A child standing alone. With power in its hands. Jack looked away. That's just fear. Maybe it's your mind. No, she cut him off. It's not just my mind. It's something more. The baby. It knows me. And it knows you. Jack looked up at her. How? Vela's voice dropped to a whisper. Because it's watching us even now. Far outside in the black sky, a ship hovered in silence. Inside, glowing eyes stared at a blinking red dot, moving through the jungle. One soldier turned to another. We found her. But the signal is strange. Another voice replied. That's not just her anymore. Something else is with her. What do we do? The commander smiled. We wait until the child is strong enough. Then we take it. The chase. Some things run to survive. Others run to protect. The jungle was waking. Strange birds flew above the trees. Sharp cries echoed across the sky. Far away, thunder rolled, but no rain followed. The forest was restless. It could feel what was coming. So could Viola. She stood at the cave entrance, motionless, her hand resting over her stomach. Inside her, the hybrid child, part human, part alien, was growing too, fast, too strong. The baby wasn't just alive, it was aware. She could feel it watching the world through her eyes. And now, it was scared. Behind her, Jack worked silently, packing supplies into a metal bag, food rations, water filters, a plasma torch. He spoke without looking at her. How long before they find us? Viola didn't answer at first. Then she said, softly, they already have. 2 kilometers away, a silent drone hovered in the trees. Its cameras zoomed in on the cave. Data streamed to a black ship above the clouds. Inside the ship, a tall alien commander watched the screen. His face was covered in armor, his eyes hidden. But his voice was cold. She carries the hybrid. Send the seekers. Do not kill her. Not yet. His assistant asked, And the human? The commander smiled. We will study him too. He is the missing piece. Jack and Vela moved through the jungle fast. The air grew hotter. Strange plants closed as they passed. Even the ground seemed to hum with tension. Viola walked ahead, her senses sharp. She could hear the leaves moving before they stepped on them. She could smell machines in the distance. They were being hunted. Where are we going? Jack asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. There's an abandoned research station west of here, Vela said, built by humans. Your people left it years ago, but the walls are strong, and it has an old defense system. Jack frowned. Why would we run to a dead place, Vela? Looked back at him. Because dead places don't get searched. Night came fast. The sky turned deep red, then black. Stars blinked between thick clouds. The air buzzed with strange energy. They stopped near a dark swamp to rest. Vela knelt. Near the water, breathing heavily, the baby inside her was active again, kicking, pushing, growing. She gritted her teeth. It's not just a baby, it's evolving. Jack crouched beside her. What do you mean? She looked at him. It's learning from us, listening to us. It feels emotion. It understands fear and love. Jack was quiet. Then he said, Do you think it knows we're scared? Viola looked into his eyes. I think it knows everything. Suddenly, a high-pitched whine filled the air. Viola stood. Run. Bright beams of blue light shot through the trees. Drones, at least 5 of them moving fast. They ran. The forest became a blur. Roots, vines, branches whipping past. The air burned with plasma bolts. Jack nearly fell as a beam struck a tree. Beside him, it exploded into splinters. They jumped over a fallen log and landed in a shallow stream. Viola pulled Jack up. She turned and fired her plasma pistol. 1 drone exploded. But more came. Then she heard a voice. Inside her head, "Don't be afraid, Mother, I will protect you." Viola gasped. Her knees buckled. Jack caught her. "What happened?" "I heard it. The child. It spoke to me." Jack's face went pale. A new sound filled the air. A pulse. Wave. All the drones froze. Their lights blinked, then shut off. They dropped from the sky like dead birds. Silence. Vela and Jack stood in shock. Did you do that?" Jack asked. Vela shook her head. "No, it did." They reached the old research station at dawn. It was half buried in vines and moss covered in rust. Human symbols still glowed faintly near the door. Outpost Delta 9. Inside, the power still worked, barely. Jack activated the lights. The station smelled like dust and memories. Old photos, broken chairs, forgotten machines. They sealed the doors. "We'll stay here," Vela said, "until I understand what this child really is." Jack nodded. "What if they come here?" Vela looked at the monitors. "Then we fight." In the shadows of the forest, someone was watching. A cloaked figure stepped over the wreckage of the drones. It was not a soldier. Not fully alien. Not fully human. It was someone from Vela's past. She raised a small device and spoke 1 word. "Found." Inside the station, Vela stood alone in the dark hallway, hand against the wall. The baby pulsed again inside her, but this time, it wasn't a kick. It was a vision. She saw a dark room, a table, her child, older, standing tall, speaking to a crowd of both humans and aliens, and behind him, a war. She blinked hard. The vision faded. Jack called out from another room. "Viola, are you okay?" She answered slowly. "No. Nothing is okay. Not anymore. Hiding the impossible." Some secrets hide in the dark. Others shine too bright to ignore. The old human station had not seen life in years. Dust floated in the air like ghosts. Machines slept in silence. Walls were covered in vines and decay. Yet now footsteps echoed through the halls again. Vela moved slowly, her hand pressed to her stomach. The child inside her was no longer just a child. It had been 4 days since they reached the outpost. In those 4 days, the baby had grown, unnaturally fast. Viola's body was changing too. Stronger, faster healing, sharper senses. She could hear thoughts, see flickers of the future in dreams. And Jack? He watched in silence, both afraid and amazed. He sat by the control room every night, monitoring scanners. He hadn't slept much. Not because he was tired, but because every time he closed his eyes, he dreamed of the child's glowing eyes, watching, judging, knowing. That morning, Viola woke with a scream. Jack rushed into the room. What happened? She was breathing hard, sitting up in bed, sweat on her face. It showed me something again. What? A city burning, ships falling from the sky, but also peace. A new city. Children playing. Jack sat down beside her. Why both? Why show you good and bad? Vela looked at him. Because it's choosing. Jack blinked. Choosing what? She touched her stomach. Choosing what kind of future it will bring. Later that day, strange things began to happen. Lights in the station flickered even when the power was stable. Old machines powered up by themselves. A broken scanner started working again, but showed symbols in no known language, and once, Jack entered a room and found all the tools floating in the air, spinning slowly. As soon as he gasped, they dropped to the floor. He stared at Vela. "You didn't do that, did you?" She didn't answer, but her silence was louder than words. That night, the baby stopped kicking. Not in a bad way, and it simply went quiet. Vela paced the room. "Something is wrong, I can't feel it." Jack tried to calm her. "Maybe it's just resting." Vela shook her head. "No, it's listening. Something is outside." They ran to the control room. Motion sensors flashed red. Someone was at the gate, alone. Vela whispered, "No ships." No sound. Whoever it is, and they knew how to hide. Jack looked at the camera screen. A figure stood in front of the old steel gate, hooded, tall, holding no weapon. Vela froze. "I know her," she said. "Her name is Ryan. She was once my second in command." Jack frowned. "Is she a threat?" Vela's voice was tight. "She was. Now I don't know." They opened the gate. Ryan stepped in slowly. Her face was older, marked by scars and war, but her eyes were sharp, calculating. She looked at Vela. "You're alive." Vela nodded. "Barely." Then Ryan's eyes dropped to her belly. She went still. "It's true," she said softly. "The child exists." Jack stepped forward. "Why are you here?" Ryan didn't look at him. "To help, or to stop a disaster, depending on what this child becomes." Vila's eyes narrowed. "You were with them, weren't you?" "I was," Ryan admitted. "But then I saw the truth. They don't want peace. They want control." She stepped closer. "They're coming, Vila. Not just soldiers, scientists, priests, weapons. They think the child is a key." Jack asked, "A key to what?" Ryan looked at him now. "To everything. Power, immortality, evolution, or extinction." They locked the gates again. Ryan stayed with them that night, sitting near the fire, her back always to the wall. She didn't sleep. She just watched, listened. Vela sat in silence. The baby was quiet still, but something in the air had changed. Then, in the middle of the night, all the lights went out. The walls hummed. A low voice filled the room, but it came from inside the station's speakers, not from anyone present. "I see you." Jack froze. Vela stood. Ryan whispered, "It's not the baby. It's something else." The screens turned on. One by one, faces appeared. High-ranking alien, officials, the leaders of Vela's people. Their faces were calm, cold. A voice said, "Return the child. You will not be harmed." Vela stood tall. "It's not yours." Another voice replied, "It is not yours either. It belongs to the future." Then the screens went black. The air felt cold, heavy. Jack looked at the others. "Was that live?" Ryan nodded. "Yes, they know where we are now." Vela didn't blink. "Let them come." Jack looked at her. Something had changed. She didn't seem afraid anymore. Vela placed her hand on her stomach. "The child isn't hiding anymore." Then her eyes glowed, just for a second. So did Jack's. Ryan stood slowly. She looked between them. "You've both changed." Vila nodded. "The child is not the only one evolving." Outside in the black sky, dozens of ships entered orbit. They moved slowly, silently, waiting. The invasion had not begun yet, because the war wouldn't start with weapons. It would start with a choice. The betrayal. Not all danger comes from outside. Sometimes it sits beside you. The outpost was quiet, too quiet. After the broadcast from Vila's people, the air inside the station felt heavier. Jack barely spoke. Ryan watched, everyone like a hunter. And Vela. She was changing again. She hadn't slept in 2 nights. Her skin shimmered faintly now, as if light moved under it. Her eyes stayed bright even in the dark. Inside her, the child was awake, and it was getting ready. At sunrise, the warning lights flashed red. Jack rushed to the control panel. 5 ships, low orbit, not landing, just watching. Vela stood beside him, calm. "They're waiting," she said. "For the moment I'm weakest." Ryan entered the room. "They won't wait forever." Vela turned to her. "That's why you're here, isn't it?" Ryan didn't move. "I'm here to help you." Vela's eyes narrowed. "You helped them once. What makes you different now?" Jack looked between them. "Guys, maybe we don't—" Suddenly, Vela screamed. She grabbed her stomach and dropped to her knees. Jack ran to her. "What's happening?" Vela's face was pale. Her body trembled. "It's time. Too soon. It's coming now." The small medical room in the station hadn't been used in years. Dust covered the table. The lights were dim. Jack cleaned. Quickly. Ryan brought supplies, bandages, scanners, water. Vela lay down, breathing hard. Sweat covered her face. Jack held her hand. "You're going to be okay." But she didn't answer. Her body arched. Her back glowed. The child's energy pulsed through her, and through him. For a second, Jack felt everything: fear, wonder, pain, light, and something else. A whisper. "I'm almost here." Then it happened. A blast of light filled the room, pure white, pulsing like a heartbeat. Jack was thrown against the wall. Ryan stepped back, shielding her eyes. And then, silence. Jack stood up slowly, heart racing. On the table, Vela lay still. In her arms was a child. But this was no ordinary baby. It didn't cry. Its skin glowed faintly, not blue, not human, something between. Its eyes were open, silver like Vela's but brighter. Too bright. It looked around the room calmly. Then it stared at Jack. He froze, because he felt something enter his mind. Not pain, not fear. A thought. "Father." Vela smiled weakly. "It's here," she whispered. Jack touched the baby's tiny hand. "What do we call it?" Before she could answer, the door slammed. Open. Ryan stood there, weapon raised. Vela turned her head. "What are you doing?" Ryan's face was hard, cold. "I'm sorry," she said. "I tried to protect you, but I was too late. They offered me a deal. If I bring the child alive, they'll stop the war." Jack stepped in front of them. "You lied to us." Ryan didn't blink. "I lied to survive." She tapped a small device on her wrist. Outside, the sky lit up. Drop pods were falling. Soldiers, machines, drones. The invasion had begun. But inside the station, something strange happened. The baby's glow became brighter. The lights exploded. The walls shook. The child floated up from Vela's arms, eyes wide open. Jack reached out, terrified. The child looked at Ryan. And suddenly, she couldn't move. She dropped her weapon. Her knees hit the floor. Her mouth opened. But no, sound came. The child spoke, not with voice, but with thought. "You were given a choice. You chose fear." Tears filled Ryan's eyes. I didn't know it was real. It is. And now, you will sleep." She collapsed, silent, alive, but unconscious. Vela sat up slowly. The child floated back into her arms. The glow faded. Jack whispered, "What just happened?" Vela didn't answer right away. Then she said, "The child is not just alive, it's aware. It knows who we are, what we've done." Jack looked at her. "Is that a good thing?" Vela looked down at the baby. "I don't know." Outside, the enemy soldiers were landing. They moved in perfect lines toward the station. But as they reached the gates, they stopped, because standing there, tiny, glowing, was the child, alone, unafraid. One soldier raised a weapon. The child looked at him. Suddenly, his weapon bent in half, without being touched. He dropped it, eyes wide. A second soldier turned, and ran. Then the others did too. They felt something they had never felt before. Not fear of death, fear of truth. Inside the station, Jack and Vela watched the cameras. The soldiers were gone. Ryan was still asleep. The baby had come back inside, now silent again. Jack looked at Vela. "What now?" Vela whispered. "Now, the universe will have to decide." The babies. Power doesn't ask permission, it just takes until something breaks. Days passed, but time no longer felt real. Inside the outpost, something had changed. Not just in the air, but in the people. The child was growing. Faster than before. By the 7th day, it could already walk. Its eyes saw things others couldn't. It spoke very little, only in thoughts. Its voice inside Jack and Vela's minds was calm and strange. Not like a child. Not like any being they'd known. Jack stood near the observation window, staring at the jungle outside. The trees were taller now. Or maybe the station had sunk. "No," the child said behind him. "I made them grow." Jack turned. The boy stood barefoot, arms behind his back, hair glowing faintly silver. He was maybe 4 years old now, in size, but his mind felt far older. "You made the trees grow?" The boy nodded. "I was curious. Plants are simple, easier to talk to." Jack stepped closer. "You can talk to plants, to everything." In the medical room, Vela watched old recordings, security footage of the birth. And the moment Ryan had betrayed them, Ryan was still unconscious. Breathing, stable. But her mind was locked. The child had sealed it, saying, "She will wake when she's ready." Vela didn't know whether to be grateful or afraid. Later she found Jack sitting near the child's resting space, a circle of smooth stones, placed by the boy himself. Vela sat beside him. "I felt something last night," she said softly. Jack looked at her. "What?" "When I slept, I dreamed of my own childhood, but I never had a childhood. I was grown in a lab." Jack's face tightened. "You think he put the dream there?" Vela nodded. "I think he wants us to feel what he feels." Jack's eyes lowered. "That scares me," Viola whispered. "It should." That night, the temperature dropped sharply. Frost formed on the metal walls, even though no season on this planet included winter. The child was sitting in the dark, eyes glowing. He turned to them and said, "Someone is coming." They stepped outside. The jungle was silent, but the sky was not. A small craft landed softly near the station, old, earth-made, but highly advanced. No army followed it. Just one passenger. A woman stepped out. Tall, calm, human. Her name was Dr. Ellen Mora, a geneticist known to Earth science circles. But long thought dead. Viola narrowed her eyes. "How did you find us?" Mora smiled gently. "He called me." She looked at the child. "You reached into time, didn't you?" The boy nodded. "You helped create the link between our kinds. I wanted to meet you." Vela stepped in front of him. "What do you want from him?" Mora looked at her. "To teach him control. To help him survive." Jack asked, "And the price?" Mora's smile faded. "You know there's always a price, don't you?" Inside the station, Mora examined the boy carefully. "Not like a scientist, like someone studying a storm. He's not just a hybrid," she said. "He's something new. His body is rewriting rules. He doesn't follow biology, or time, or energy." Jack frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means he could accidentally erase us just by thinking it." Viola tensed. "He wouldn't." Mora turned to her. "You don't know that, not really." The boy stood silently watching. Later the child came to Jack alone. "I hurt someone today," he said. Jack looked at him. "Who?" "The birds, outside. I tried to fly like them. They crashed. I didn't mean to." Jack knelt down. "It's okay. Mistakes happen." The child looked at him, eyes glowing brighter. "No," he said. "Mistakes break the world." Jack suddenly felt dizzy, like gravity had shifted, like he didn't belong in his own skin. The boy blinked, and the feeling stopped. "Sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to feel that much." Jack stared at him, breathing hard. For the first time, he wasn't sure this child was still. A child Dr. Mora took Viola aside that evening. "He needs to be contained." Viola snapped. "He's not a weapon." "He might become one," Mora said. "Not because he's evil, but because he's too powerful." Viola stared at her. "Then teach him. Don't lock him away." Mora shook her head. "You don't understand. He doesn't just change things. He is change. He bends gravity. He speaks to time. He sees possible futures," Vela whispered. "And?" Mora looked deep into her eyes. "And in every future I saw." He was alone. The child heard that too. He stood outside looking at the stars. Alone. That word felt heavier than the planets. He looked down, at his hands, glowing, shifting, and for the first time, he cried. Inside, the lights began to flicker again. But this time, it wasn't him. It was something else. In orbit, a new signal had arrived. Not alien, not human. Something older, something ancient. It had felt the child's power. And it was coming. The final choice. Every future must choose its shape. And who will carry it? The sky had turned black, not with clouds, but with something else. A silence beyond silence. Not a ship, not a storm, but a presence. It had no name, no body, no language, but it had been watching. It had felt the child's birth, and now it had come to decide if such a being should be allowed to exist. Inside the outpost, alarms flickered uselessly. The systems had failed, but not from damage. From fear. Even machines could feel what was outside. Jack stood near the doorway, gripping the edge of the wall, sweat running down his back. Bela stood beside him, staring up at the sky. The air felt too heavy to breathe. Time itself moved slower. Behind them, the child, and now the size of a small teenager, sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed. Calm, quiet. Dr. Mora stood in the shadows, her hands trembling. She whispered, This is not a threat from your people, or mine. This is something else." Viola's voice was low. "What is it?" Mora shook her head. "I don't know. Maybe the first intelligence, maybe the last. All I know is, it's here because of him." The ground trembled, not like an earthquake, more like the planet itself was asking a question. The child opened his eyes. "I hear it," he said softly. "It's asking me who I am." Jack stepped forward. "What does it want?" The child turned to him. "To know if I will rewrite the universe or protect it." Suddenly the walls vanished, not exploded, not destroyed, just gone. The station no longer existed. They were standing on nothing, surrounded by stars, floating in a vast blackness, yet they could still breathe, still see, still feel. The voice came not as sound, but as thought, pressed into their minds. "You are the fracture. You are the fuse. You are the future, or the end." The child stood alone now, floating slightly above them. He looked small again. Human, alien, and something beyond both. Viola reached out. "Come back, don't go." The child turned his head. "I'm not leaving, but I must choose now." Jack stepped beside her. "What happens if you choose wrong?" The voice answered for him. Then all futures collapse. Life resets. Stars, forget their names. Time ends, Dr. Mora whispered. Dear God. But the child shook his head. No gods here. Just choice. He turned to the voice in the stars and asked a question. Why must I choose it all? There was silence. Then, because no power lives without direction. Because no future grows without a root. The child paused, then floated down closer to Jack and Vela. He looked at them. Do you fear me? Vela spoke first. No. I fear what they'll do to you. Jack said, and I fear what the universe will do without you. The child smiled. I know now. He looked up into the darkness. I choose both. Suddenly the stars began to swirl. Light bled from every point in space. Jack screamed as his body filled with pressure, not pain, but expansion. As if every cell was learning something new. Viola dropped to her knees. Her hands glowed with blue fire, but she didn't burn. Even Dr. Mora cried out, eyes wide, whispering names she had forgotten until now. And the child floated higher. I will not destroy, he said. I will not rule, will bridge. I am not human, I am not alien, I am what comes after. I will carry the memory of both, and I will build something new. The presence paused, then whispered, so be it. The blackness cracked like glass. The station returned, but rebuilt, clean, new. Glowing with energy no one had ever seen. Outside, the jungle bloomed. Trees, taller than towers, skies brighter than ever before. Ships, human and alien, were hovering far above. Watching. Waiting. The child walked toward the door. Jack stopped him. Where are you going? He smiled. To meet them. To teach them what you taught me. Jack's voice cracked. You're still our son. The child touched his hand. I always will be. Vela hugged him tight. Tears fell. He whispered, I'll never leave you. Not truly. Then, without sound, he disappeared. Years later, a new city stood where the jungle once was. A city of both species. A city of peace. A city without war. And at its center, a statue of a boy with glowing eyes. One hand open, one hand closed, and the words beneath it carved in simple letters. I chose us.